to the ITRA biweekly webinar. Appreciate everyone that shows up, everyone that comes, members, non-members at the moment. We will be going to members-only meetings shortly, probably at the first of the year. We did adjust it to try and drum up more attendance. They have been going well. A lot of good guests, a lot of new information, a lot of things have been learned. And it's a good way for the association to kind of meet while we're going through what we're going through. Some of us are slow, some of us are doing well, and it's good to hear the stories of those doing well. It's also good to know the stories of those that aren't doing well and get some inspiration, get some ideas for what you can do differently, what you can change, or what you can help someone else with. So today our guest is Mark Aistrope. Hello, sir. How are you? Good morning. I want to give him a second to get his mute off. How are you?
Hey there.
Hey.
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I just for the record, everyone, I'm going, well, not the record, but for optimal viewing, I'm going to have me and Mark side by side. So if you are in gallery view, you'll see that. If you're in speaker view, then you won't. So Mark, let's get started. What's your work background before meeting tomorrow, before everything got started?
Sure. Well, first of all, Bruce, thanks for having me on here, and I apologize for getting on a little tardy. I actually had it booked. It went up my calendar for 11 o'clock my time, and then I had this time to prepare for it. So I'm coming a little flat-footed here, Bruce, but that'll be good for me. It's good stretching some muscles here.
This may be where you shine, when you're flat-footed, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. What a beautiful place you have there, Bruce. Geez.
Oh, that's virtual. That's not.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I wish, don't I wish? It's not even funny that it's
not this one. Not this one. It's all real back here.
Impressive, impressive. It might be pipe and drape. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Well, it's so cool to see so many good, familiar faces and see people here and we'll see their faces, not literally in the flesh. And thanks for creating this community here.
Definitely. Well,
to kind of help people.
We appreciate you, appreciate the company meeting tomorrow and you sending out some of your staff. We haven't seen you in a while. We would love to see you. I'm sure your schedule probably fights it or has in the past, but nice to see you. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
So let's jump into it though. What is your work background before meeting tomorrow? What were you doing? Sure.
So, I mean, before I did this, I actually sold software. I was at 3 successive companies selling software that was, the best way to describe it is competitive to or similar to what Google Analytics is. So software that analyzes your website and we call it clickstream analysis. And that was a time before there was Google Analytics, which people get for free, but people would spend a lot of money for that kind of software.
Definitely. They tell them how to do their website better or what to.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I was selling that since the late '90s, kind of when people started spending a lot of money on their website.
When did you open meeting tomorrow?
So. Should know that 2003.
Okay.
Yeah, been at this for a while.
Had you ever worked?
Not as long as many people on here. It's a long time now.
Have you ever worked for another AV company?
No, I hadn't.
No. So how'd you find yourself in AV from software?
Well, I knew, I always had kind of entrepreneurship in my blood. My dad actually was tried to start businesses, but he ended up being kind of for all of my life. He was worked for the Small Business Administration and was a loan officer, and so would kind of be proud, show me all the kind of small businesses that he helped with his loans and that kind of thing. So I always had kind of business in my blood. When I was right out of college, I started a detail shop, did that for a couple of years. And I knew when I left my last company, I was going to start something. And when I was back in, I guess that was 2002, when I was selling software, I was giving pitches, presentations in different places, and that was before projectors, LCD projectors were as kind of ubiquitous as they are now. They weren't in every conference room. I learned that you could rent projectors from local outfits, right?
Mhm.
So I had this idea. And so, well, what if, people were, I rent it out and people rent to me for like $400. And I had this idea that, well, kind of with my knowledge of internet marketing, maybe I could actually just rent projectors from a central location, ship it to them in a little storm case. And it's the people like me, and when they're done with it, they could actually drop it in like a FedEx Dropbox and ship it back to me. So, I called it kind of like the Netflix of projectors back when Netflix was in the business of shipping DVDs back and forth.
Right.
So that was actually kind of my entry. It was like a projector by mail service. And that's kind of just what got me into it. I didn't know anything about AV. I didn't know anything about rental business, computers, rentals, anything like that.
Yeah, that it makes sense as far as starting with software sales. You in your mind, maybe I can do anything. I can, put together whatever I want to put together and make the website easy to find. And now I need a product. So what's the product going to be? And you discovered projectors and them being small and a large profit margin that we all know. And
Yeah. I actually had this aha moment where I was reading this book, an author I like called Thomas Friedman, who just writes a lot of books about the intersection, kind of the global economy and politics and all kinds of stuff. And I remember him he wrote this book and it said, there are so many emerging kind of trends in the world that people haven't combined them in all the different possible ways to create new business models. And I remember him saying miniaturization of technology. And I was thinking, that's right, projectors have gotten smaller.
mm-hmm.
He actually said the inexpense of like overnight shipping. And what struck me is like it shipped this thing overnight for like $25, where there were people that were actually putting this in a truck in any city, and it would take them $200 to deliver it, or $100 to deliver it, around town. He talked about I think that you'd have a website and you could start create a nationwide storefront. There's like 4 factors, and I just kind of started, thinking, well, how can I kind of draw from my own experience and create something unique and valuable to the world from that.
So it's 4 factors that you could use pretty much with any business to, I guess, become nationwide, or even larger, is what I'm guessing, right? Do you do internet?
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of trends at the time. I think you could kind of probably start, connecting those, do a Venn diagram, connecting whatever those trends are today, and think of new businesses that you can reinvent the same way.
Do you do international?
No, I mean, we don't proactively solicit international business, but we go when our clients take us there.
Right, I got you. So can you describe how Meeting Tomorrow was affected by COVID-19 back in March?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it was devastating, like as I'm sure many people on this call in our industry, and certainly people that service the live meetings and events industries, our business, sure, like many or most of this group, 90+% of our business is servicing live meetings and events, right? So that all just went off a cliff, right, in about a 2-week period. So immediately that business went away. We saw, I think, I had kind of this aha moment. I've got the woman I was dating at the time managed all of the call centers for Discover card. And she was saying she was being asked to create a contingency plan if they needed this in February, if they had to work from home, and to the CEO. And I was thinking, what does that look like? And she said, well, I'm going to have thousands of laptops, and headsets at people's, for all of our call center people, right? And so what I did do is, I kind of put a big bet on this is real. If this thing shifts, and you can start feeling it, man, people are going to start working from home, and there's going to be a shortage, right? I remember looking, because we had trouble getting iPads, and I started seeing there is this, and I actually didn't know about laptops at the time, but because of what was happening in China with COVID being hit there, the supply chain was people couldn't get new stuff, right? And so these things hitting at once, I thought great opportunity for us to, create a valuable service. So we just, in advance, I actually started just buying up a ton of laptops, and inexpensive laptops that, were functional work, and we could kind of
Microsoft Office or something.
Yeah, repurpose for that. And we kind of hit just at the right time. So we got, there were some reason it was a lot of universities, not for their students initially, but for their staff. I guess there's there's attributes of companies that have desktops. That's their legacy kind of computer when for the people working in the office, and they have to send people out in the field, and they needed laptops. And so we kind of just we replaced this business that was kind of decimated with that, right?
Yeah.
And then, but after that kind of thing, that was a little bit of a surge, but we didn't really have a lot to do, right? I mean, that was, we've got 90 employees and 80, maybe 80, 85 employees. And that was really tough, kind of facing down what we do next. And I think the PPP loan, I think for us, I don't know, there was, they kind of changed what the intent was. This was supposed to be used for, but for us, it helped create a bridge to what our next business was, right? So, what we did have, it was nice. We had, if we think about ourselves primarily as an AV business, what was nice is we had a computer business allowed us to get into this, but we also, relative to other AV businesses, we had a pretty significant virtual event business where we manage virtual events. Significant isn't huge. It'd been like the last couple of years, only been 5% of our business.
Well, hold on, because you mentioned the laptop, so that was just a surge and went away.
Well, that was initially, that was a surge, and so, but we knew that in this new world, there's probably kind of two lanes, right, that we could go down. There's something to do with laptops and servicing people, and there's something to do with virtual.
So those initial laptops, are they still out?
Yes. Well, what happened for a lot of them, it was, people would rent them for a month, right? And these are people, there's just nowhere to, get them. I'm sure a lot of people got, these kind of orders. They're on this call, but they got them, and a lot of people just thought it was for a month, right? And they just rolled over to another month. They rolled over to another month, and these people oftentimes they want to buy them out, So, we didn't go into this trying to think this is some wildly kind of profitable. They ended up being really, doing,
So that was a good idea that you got from your friend, right?
My friend.
Well, you said she worked for Discover. And
oh yeah. And well, the thing is, it's actually, it wasn't so much we were going out and pitching them. There was the friend. The idea was to start stocking up in advance to be able to service this need, right?
Right.
And yeah, we had some lists and things like that. We could solicit them. We kind of had create a new value proposition for.
I guess my question why I went back to that is, since she spawned or she helped you spawn this idea, are you still dating her?
No, no. She actually, because she can live anywhere. She moved up to the mountains of Park City, so
okay.
She thought the mountains were that was a better choice than hanging out.
I'll leave that alone. So so that was the first thing, initial, back in March. So where did you guys go after that?
Yeah, so I mean, but that kind of, that went away, but we had, this huge payroll with just nothing really to do, right? So, what we use that time for is, but, I mean, the government supporting that payroll of the PPP loan is, we just kind of just turned everyone into inside salespeople. We did a lot of that. We're just looking for opportunity anywhere. We went to, if you look, that PPP loan was part of a bill at the time passed by Congress called the CARES Act. Well, the CARES Act is like 800 pages, right? So of money that the government needed to spend, right, to just for different kind of purposes, right? So if you think at the time, the money was going from the private sector to the public sector. So I had people scouring this kind of thing, looking for anything. Well, here's Social Security Administration. They need to set people up for work from home. Here's somebody that they need to people need to set up virtual, communication services for judicial processes for something like rural kind of bail hearings or something.
Right.
I mean, $10 million, there's all this money here, right? So we started kind of going after that. We started looking at, about that time, schools then tipped, right? And I think we started looking at that. We actually, my assistant wrote to me and said, hey, just saw an article, this, Chicago public schools are, they need to get 100,000 computers into the hands of kids that families don't have the means to, they don't have computers already, don't have the means to. And they said, they're buying all these computers, and I didn't think, well, I can't sell them anything or help them out. But then it said, there's a follow-up article that says, well, they can't get them for 8 to 10 weeks, And so in that time I didn't have, what I had is like thousands of iPads. And so I'm like, emailing everyone, and said, hey, we can help you out. Maybe I can rent you, where we can just help you out. I mean, I kind of led with just how can we help, right? And that ended up turning into kind of a really big order for us, right? So
They go with the iPads?
iPads and then laptops, yeah.
Okay.
And then it was, I think we just, there ended up being a need for schools, right? That, schools really got big, and it was in Chromebooks. And that was kind of a brand new shift in our business. And we kind of we didn't own any Chromebooks or anything, but now I had kind of these channels to be able to sell them.
Right.
It's trying to find used Chromebooks all over. I think you probably saw ITRA blast me, kind of getting desperate. I ended up finding when there's no used Chromebooks. I did something I've never done this before, but I flew out to Dubai in July, and found out that's where all the used Chromebooks are. There's tens of thousands of them, but in that business, you don't want to, you have to kind of wire money in advance of getting it, right? It's always like drug deals I feel like doing used computer deals. And so I wanted to go over there, check them out before we did that. So yeah, we've kind of just, we kind of just tried to hustle and be responsive to what the market needed, but, and all the while trying to just, serve the needs of of the employees. And that's a challenge too, because everyone's having a tough time, right? For one reason or another. People got kids at home, and
right.
people got, they might be sick, their people are anxious, trying to reassure them about their jobs, that kind of thing. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that is the definition of hustling, and that sounds like it paid off for you guys. So since you're nationwide, and I guess this question is meant more for live events before the second wave of the pandemic. And well, if you can answer it before the second wave and then after the second wave, or right now, basically, what regions are doing better or more busy than others? And on the other end, which regions or states are not doing so well?
Well, as far as I know, I think I saw Veronica on here. She might be able to say better. I don't think we're booking any live events. I mean, I don't think we're doing any, um, and if it's not a regional thing, it's just a application specific thing. And I won't even say they're events, right? I mean, I honestly can't tell you what the heck we're doing
Yeah,
in
like
live events. If
as
there's any,
as far as in-person events, you mean?
yeah, I mean, I have a local, there's a local professional group called the Young Presidents Organization that I do they hired us to do kind of a webcast, but they were just, hell bent on doing it a live event, virtual, and they want to do it other places. They want it, so we get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not because this is in Chicago, that Chicago is like, booming events. And I'm probably not the right person
I
to talk
understand.
about.
Yeah.
Early on, it seemed like there's obviously trends where, some states, seem to be a red state, blue state thing, or southern states. And I don't know. I mean, I think any kind of events of any size right now are kind of on hold. I think for us, I mean, one thing that, I don't think people even maybe in our company quite recognize, or at least the way I see it, is, I think live events are, so I'm going to use the wrong words, right? But there are a lagging indicator, right? Normally of when the economic downturn, I'm not saying anything that a lot of people don't know here, right? But because events are booked out like 6 months in ahead, right? So even in whatever, 2008, 2009, when the world's falling apart, we're fine, right? Because all those events have been booked out. You start feeling it 6 months later. So even if in April, or whatever they're saying, that maybe we get back to some kind of normalcy. I'm maybe not saying that. Whenever it is spring, that doesn't mean the events are going to happen a month later. It's going to be another 6 months out, right? So I don't think events for us, I suppose they come back in some semblance in the fall, but and I think live events in general, I know I saw Bill Gates, it says business travel is going to be down by 50%, right? That's probably a good proxy for what happens to live events. I think that this market's changed forever and it's shrunk. It'll keep growing, but I don't really buy this idea that people are just, they're just going to explode out of their homes and want to just travel all over the place. Again, I think we're going to have to adjust to something new.
I think the virtual event is going to be pushed more so and looked at as a very viable option now, when before it was, no, I want to go. And now you really don't have to go to the event. I do agree, but I guess I also wanted to ask, and Veronica, if you could jump in, if you can add to it, but I was also asking if there were any, like not in-person events, but events where they were holding events without an audience. If you even seen any work like that, or even production, TV production, or anything like that. If you guys saw some of that.
Well, that's what we do. So that is like, that's what we've shifted to. So that the vast majority, and that's what Veronica is doing, that kind of work. She's not doing what she did before, right? It's like, so we have this technology rental and sales business, which is just, it's blown up for us. It's like double, I think, what it was for us. But our production side has evolved which is where most of the employees are out, actually, because it's very labor intensive. We're managing this kind of thing. We, manage professionally. So that's a majority of our company. So 75%, of the people that are in sales and service and operations side of the business are working on managing virtual events. And on that side of the business, we just hired the last few weeks, I think like 8 people to grow that, because that's just a big. So if anybody has the skills and capabilities in their organization to be able to go after this, that is just there is a ton of work out there for people to do this.
So for you guys, that's local. Yes.
No, it's national. But here's the deal: it doesn't really matter. I mean,
right. You can
majority of people. Yeah, and it's not like, you know, it's kind of disappointing to some of our kind of like, you know, kind of live event purists, because they're like, they want great lighting, they think of the production value, right? And it's really not all about that. It's really kind of the run of show, be doing something like this, the handoffs, speaker prep, but it's like, there's no local front, there's no equipment.
Right.
I mean, there is some stuff that does happen. You're saying, well, there is like a
stage, but no
drop, you know, but really the center of gravity in our value proposition is really kind of like, it's done from Chicago, you know, I mean, and it is managing kind of the complexities of these software platforms, because there's a lot of them we're doing these software platforms that are purpose for these complex conferences and that kind of thing, making sure that, you know, kind of just that, you know, everybody can log on, that everybody's the administrative and user support side, that it's done well, the handoffs are done, the production as well. But the production, it isn't really about what's happening at the kind of like
in any single location.
Yeah, any single location, really, right? So.
All right, so and it's funny how detailed you are in answering the questions. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's probably not a virtue. That's just me. I talk too much sometimes.
It's a good thing and a bad thing. And the bad thing is that you've answered a lot of my questions already.
Oh.
But that's fine. I still have more. So what, in your professional opinion, when do you see Chicago coming back? And you kind of answered it, but and is your answer April? Are you saying April? And I also want to ask in relation to the entire country, and if you have any international information, and you have your finger on the pulse of anything where you could say or have a guess of when things are coming back for your area, nationwide and worldwide.
Yeah, I just don't think that I got any kind of a perspective that's additive to anybody in this room. It would just be an opinion. And I think
that's what we ask. That's what we're asking for.
But my opinion is, if you're like, listen, if you look at like, I mean, the first kind of lead domino, right, is like this vaccine, which I have no idea other than what I see on the news when that's coming out. But again, I don't think that I mean, we get some tentative calls, people talking about prospective events happening in the fall, but I think there is this relationship between how large the event is and how kind of the incubation or the length of the lead time they have, right?
Right.
So I think that immediately, people can do really smaller kind of events. I mean, I think when it's safe, those can kick in for like a month and a half, 2 months. But anything of any substance will be a month. So coming back, I assume. If I guess a little sprinkling of stuff, and I don't think it's specific to Chicago. I don't know. I can't see a regional kind of bias to this, and I don't have any visibility internationally what that is. I think it's if small events will come back probably, earlier than large events, maybe summer and or late spring and summer, and fall. I think it's going to be hard pressed to see any. I suppose you'll see some bigger conferences, but I just think the timing of that, it's going to be challenged to see those come back in a big way.
For sure, and the vaccine and how it's distributed plays a major role in that as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some of the factors that kept events on the books last year, that people had contracts. With hotels, and they couldn't, invoke these force majeure clauses. That was being figured out, that it made them more expensive to cancel the meetings, even though it was dangerous to have them because they'd have to refund all of the attendee money. Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
Right?
So they're only booking events if they think they can do profitable live events in the fall. And I don't know if the economics lend themselves to that.
Okay. Yeah, we wanted your opinion. That's why we have.
Oh yeah. No, well, I don't. I can speak from experience, but I can't speak, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, so meeting tomorrow. What do you guys have as far on the horizon? What's your plan for the, let's say, starting 2021, mid 2021? Doing anything differently? Are you planning to make any adjustments, any changes, or what do you guys have?
Yeah, I think that, the way I've talked about, I mean, we are really running two separate businesses. It used to be like our legacy business was doing technology rentals that were really supportive of meetings and events largely, right? So iPads and laptops and other, kind of phone devices. And then we have AV in production, right? And they didn't have a lot of commonality except they had meetings and events. Now, since our technology business is actually, it's mostly resale, and our other business is virtual. They're two separate businesses. On the virtuals, on the technology side, I mean, I don't think it behooves us to do any kind of planning. I mean, I know it sounds probably antithetical to what, people would probably say, but it is, we just have to hustle. We have to just think like, okay, we got to respond. What happens when all these kids come back to school? What can we rent them? What can we sell them? Kind of just watch. I mean, for the first time ever, I'm not an investor in stocks, but I watch CNBC in the morning just to see what the hell is going on in the world. It's really interesting. They interview CEOs, and I'm like, just to think of, okay, well, I can get in front of that. What's our, they might need some printers or copiers over that. You just need to be responsive and keep your head up, right? And not create a plan and follow it. Virtual, I think for us, I think we need to be, what I'm worried about is like, this market is blowing up. I mean, it's becoming huge, bigger and bigger. And I think that we need to focus on, making sure that we're a big part of this business, because I think there's a lot of like probably outside investment money that is going to come in and compete with some of the things that we're trying to do there. And so I think we need to be very deliberate about our planning and our strategy and how we're going to be competitive, because I think it's already clear what the world's needs are going to be there, and we just need to be thoughtful about delivering those services and meeting people where the market where they need where we need to be. So
Yeah, and you've been doing that since day one. And it appears you're good at it, looking at what's happening currently and anticipating what someone's needs will be in the future and being prepared when they need it.
yeah.
And so it sounds like more of the same. Continue doing what you've been doing, hustling and having some foresight.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, that's like where we're at our best anyway. Every time we try to do strategic planning or something like that, it doesn't work very well for us.
Understood.
We start planning for what we think we can do and markets we can go into, and then the real world takes over, and we just end up doing
Scrapping the plan.
whatever our customers take us. So, yeah.
All right. In retrospect of how you brought in meeting tomorrow as a company to where it is now,
Yeah.
Is there anything you would have done differently?
You're just talking about the whole duration?
Yeah, as a whole. I probably should have had this question in the beginning, so forgive my arrangement.
No, I don't know. No, I don't. I'm not somebody that kind of looks back with regrets. I mean, I think like, I think I actually would probably, to be honest, I would probably be a little bit more aggressive and assertive of pushing change within our company and where we're going. I think we've got kind of we've got a company, some that are like engaged and excited by change, some that are kind of freaked out by it. And I try to play both,
right,
to both crowds. And I think that's not my DNA. My DNA is to charge ahead and kind of push us. And that excites and engages some people. Some people that's really hard, right? And I probably push a little bit, but I don't regret that. I mean, listen, I'm proud and feel good about what we've done and the company we have. So,
and you should be, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's all the questions I have. We'll have to check the chat. That's where people should have been putting their questions. Okay. Bert has a question. What does Mark expect for 2021 for AV specifically?
For, yeah, I don't know. Funny, this afternoon on that side of the business, I'm supposed to see a initial forecast, which again, I think is like, I don't know, I'll take it for what it's worth. I don't think people know the live event side of the business. I don't know. I think, I don't expect any. And I think we actually should make a deliberate strategic choice whether we want to have it anyway. I think that, like, I don't know if I want to get into that bath again of just, some of that business just isn't profitable for us. So on the AV side of the business.
Right. Do you expect an increase, in your opinion, do you expect an increase in hybrid events?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's going to force us into event to keep us stay us in AV is hybrid
We
events.
expect it.
Yeah, I think that everybody. Listen, I thought I would preach this to, like, I think it's part of our, should have been our sales presentation. It's crazy to me that people spend the money they do on live meetings and events. They're trying to educate people, sell people, and they've invested all of this money, and then it's just perishable. It just goes away. Nobody's like, I mean, at least it should be, every event should be recorded and captured, and we should be able to monetize that or use that content somewhere else. So clearly that's the way this world's going. I don't see any event of any kind of significant size unless there's some kind of, confidentiality of it that shouldn't be at least
recorded.
Broadcast. Yeah,
Right.
I think that's
Making
amplified.
Live stream is going to be the where they want to be, and maybe at the very least, let's record it. Always record from now on.
Always recording, yeah. And I think that, I mean, I know 2 event organizers that are close friends of mine that have kind of specialty niche kind of industry events, and they are more profitable under the virtual. They're just shocked, right? Instead of spending $800 on a ticket and incurring all this other cost, they're like delivering this, they're like doing a $300 ticket, have more attendance, costs are like zero, so I mean, it's ridiculous choice to just kind of go with a live model. And I think people in our industry, I think because people in this industry love live meetings events, they have the bias to think that everybody's just going to want to get out there. And I've said, no, I think people actually like spending time with their family and have more, and like, and doing this, right?
Yeah.
So
go to the meeting and then go back home and sleep in their own bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So you kind of answered this, but I'll still ask it. Bert wants to know, are you guys more into AV or IT rental?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do, I mean, there was a legacy kind of thing of doing AV. I mean, our whole AV business, we don't call it a rental. I mean, it's just like, it's a tool that we would use into doing a meetings and events. So we don't really rent a projector or something like that. So everything that we do is kind of, that's just live. So our straight kind of like dry rentals are all IT. I mean, or we ship things in and that kind of thing, right?
Okay, well, this kind of goes into the next question. This is from John Ermel from Epson. You stated you started your business renting projectors. Going forward, how important will projection be within your business as we adapt to our new climate? Maybe we're going to see a ITRA blast, you selling projectors.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never thought about that way. I mean, I just don't, I just figure like people are going to meet and communicate and use different tools. I've just never been a gearhead or anything. So, as far as I understand that, I mean, with respect to John, I mean, like there's a lot of displays. I mean, like LED is, I think kind of cannibalizing a lot of what projection did. It's become less expensive, but I don't know that people know more about that than I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could speak to, I don't think projection is gonna grow as part of our business. But that's, and I don't want to mean that in disrespect because I just don't understand all the different applications for the technology and stuff.
Right. Understood. I got you. Steve Lichtensteiger. Forgive me if I said it wrong, Steve. Is it a good time to grow your business by buying other AV companies? Is buying AV companies, is it a good time to do that trying to grow your business or as a way to grow your business, would you say?
I think if you have a discipline in doing that, we actually tried to go to market and that's how we thought. We had this idea, well, we're just going to get these smaller kind of AV companies, and we've never really, yeah, I can't speak to that because I certainly, I think that there's somebody that theoretically, yes, there's a lot of kind of, you know, undervalued people. I mean, this would be kind of time to, like, you know, buy low if that's what your strategy was.
Right.
I don't know if that's if you're, one of the challenges of that strategy, I think at this time, if I guess, is that the reason that we would do it is what you find is like, even like big companies on the AV side, they've got they have relationships of just, I've got a guy, I've just got a few. So you see like a 2-person company or a 3-person operation have a few $1 million book of accounts, right? And so you're buying the book of accounts. So that's a shaky proposition to buy a company on, but especially now, because all of their accounts have been shaken up completely, right? We're getting calls from companies where they're this new, because they're old people, they're not answering their calls, they're old AV companies, and actually because they're going virtual. So their hold on their accounts is probably pretty tenuous. And plus, the people, these event planners at the corporations are probably been furloughed. They're all in flux.
New
so I
people
don't think
everywhere.
they're as valuable maybe as you think they are, right? So
yeah, there's definitely companies, small, large, more small, medium, trying to contemplating getting out. Like, I want to get out of this business. I'm done. And in that mindset, it's a good time to buy. But
yeah, but there's still going to be a lot of capacity, right? I mean, I don't think if you take, I think this live event market is going to compress, right? And so there's still a lot of people that have it in their blood, and they want to just. There's going to be a lot of competition too, you know.
Yeah, and like you said, the loyal customers of these small AV companies that have 3-5 custom clients maybe, and they go nowhere. Have in the past have not gone anywhere else but to their loyal guy that they have.
So yeah. And I would say at any time, if this idea that, I mean, we get solicited a lot by this guy, like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time, and maybe people in the call like this, that I'm getting older, I want to sell it off. Well, it's hard because usually people are doing business with you because of the person that wants to sell it to you, and they want to exit. And it's like, if you're not here, I don't know if I got those customers anymore. Just because, like, I show up doesn't mean I'm going to get them. So I don't know. I'd rather be acquiring a company where the guys that have the relationships are still there and they're still, you know, with you. So that's why it's hard to find that kind of thing that works.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. A friend of mine passed, and he had an AV company, and he had his core clients, and we helped his wife clean up the company, get the equipment. We actually helped her sell the equipment to another company, and she gave us his client list in return. And we probably got maybe 2 or 3 clients that stayed with us, gave us a shot, and the rest just kind of went away. They were like, well, if he's gone, we'll try our chances somewhere else. It wasn't guaranteed. So I understand what you're saying, and that is correct. So that is all the questions. That will conclude the meeting. I do appreciate you, Mark, being on this webinar with us, taking the time out. I'm sure you have a busy schedule. I do have a question. Did you read the CARES Act?
I did start. I did I downloaded it and I started kind of doing find or whatever you call find or not find or replace, but just find, and I looked for computer technology rental, and then I said, okay, there's so many references to this. I had 5 people at the company kind of read it and start pulling out opportunities for that in there. So
I got you. Well, everyone, I appreciate you guys attending the webinar. We are growing, and I appreciate everyone taking a part, asking questions.
You got a pop up here from
Chad. I got a question here. Well, it says Chad Frank says I would like to share a comment. Yeah, I'll put him on. Sorry, Chad. Didn't realize what you were saying.
No, hey, first of all, Mark, I love your story.
Hey, Chad, how you doing, man?
All right. Hey, thanks for sharing that. the picture of entrepreneurship and really the story there was phenomenal. So thanks for sharing that. I wanted to add, because as we're all in a business right now, we're all struggling, and we try to, I'm an optimist in life and try to smile every minute. I want to share just a quick story to my industry buddies and peers out there, is that we last week actually had an audiovisual event that took place with just under 150 attendees of substance. First time in 6 months, I would say, I could share that kind of excitement.
Wow.
And when I say excitement, I mean, I'm going to share it. I mean, it was over $100,000. But what was the component? It's exactly what Mark said, is the hybrid and or the virtual component was a majority, because that historical event had about 1,000 people at it that we supported. But the event was absolutely a success. And so my story here is, or my point here is, man, we need to hold on to optimism. There may be small pieces of bigger events, and hopefully those will allow all of us to keep our doors open. I can tell you that also that event closed on Saturday, and then Sunday, the restrictions on population to room went down by about 75%. So it was right under the gun that it happened. But I think it kind of goes to where I believe, and Mark, you did a great job of really from the opinion side of things. And I'm going to provide my optimistic opinion, is that small pieces, small events, and small, different focus, they are going to have dollars, but it's going to be a fraction of the dollar, with the majority going to a hybrid or virtual. But there is a human component that is needed out there. So I try to create optimism. I'm basically talking, creating optimism for myself back at it, but I wanted to share that with all of you peers here.
Congrats, Chad.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, Mark, thanks for being on here. Is there anything you wanted to say in closing?
No, I mean, thanks for creating this community and thanks for creating this kind of online kind of way we can all meet together. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here, and certainly anybody that I'd love. I mean, I'm interested, and maybe I'll join these other ones in the future. I mean, I'm just interested where other people see kind of like hustles or business or kind of little niches to the extent that they want to share their secrets. I mean, it's not. I'd love to know those and hear those maybe on future stuff. And anybody that has wants to follow up with me, I think they've got my information. I assume in the ITRA directory or whatever. Please reach out.
Yep. So that was an invitation. Mark says reach out to him. He'd love to hear how you guys are doing. Mike, if you can put it in the chat as well, Michael. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. Thanks for attending. I appreciate it. We are going to be here again. I don't have the date, but it's 2 weeks, two Tuesdays from now. We are booking. Our next guest will be a European company who is doing temperature scanners and seeing seeing some growth in that. So it'd be nice to hear from the other side of the pond, and join us then. And again, thank you for attending. Oh, one other thing. This will be on YouTube along with all the other webinars on our YouTube channel. ITRA does have a YouTube channel. We've been sending out the emails. Hopefully you've seen those. Subscribe, like the videos, of course, and look for this one. Should be up by Friday at the latest. I try and get them done fast. Thanks again. Thank you, Mark, and everyone. Goodbye.
All right.
Mark,
All right,
thank you.
guys.